What's up? This is Dr. Tarab Rai from Franklin.DentalCare and Dentures. Nice to see y'all. I'm over here in operatory number 2. And we're just gonna make some videos about stuff that you should know about your breath. So for instance, in general, bad breath comes from two main things: a lack of good hygiene and a lack of good nutrition. And when I say these things to you, I mean, listen. I know life's hard. Life can be really, really complicated. There's a lot of stresses that happen. There's a lot of little things that get in our ways of making sure that we do the things that are good for our health. I mean, for God's sake, we take better care of our pets than we do ourselves. So what is it that I can tell you that's going to change that? Well, individual responsibility. Your breath can be the culprit for a lot of awkward situations. And often I have found that the patients that have the worst breath are the ones that are not brushing their tongues. You gotta brush your tongue, my friend. If you don't brush your tongue, all those little bacteria are gonna go inside those little papillas. So in the tongue in general, we have a bunch of these little bristles basically. It's like a brush but upside down. And in those bristles, a bunch of bacteria can hide. And those bacteria honestly really smelly. And when it comes down to it, those food particles can be really smelly. In fact, the food particles that are smelliest most often are carbohydrates. Those Doritos you like to eat, those Doritos. I always bring those up when I'm doing extraction. I'm like, don't put Doritos in those holes. But basically, the importance of realizing that those little carbohydrates are making all of the, it's like festering old food. It's like, imagine the smell of trash in general. You know, that stuff stays in your tongue. It's embedded in there, and then it makes a massive difference in terms of whether or not you have appealing breath when you're on a date, for instance, or when you're having a collegial conversation with your parents and they're like, good Lord, your breath stinks, man. The other thing I wanted to say is decaying teeth. Decaying teeth in general cause terrible breath. And I always say this to people. I'm like, well, people come to me and they're like, dude, my breath smells. And I'm like, yeah. Well, it turns out one of your teeth is basically half broken. So, you know, if I take care of that, your bad breath will go away. And then I take their tooth out and I tell them not to fill the hole with Doritos. And lo and behold, their breath is better. And then I'm like, well, the necrotic tooth smell is equivalent to like a dead mouse in your basement. So you want to avoid having necrotic tooth. You want to avoid having acidic, terrible substances that are breaking down your tooth structure. Another thing that causes bad breath is tonsil stones. So tonsil stones can be like these little yellow, kind of like pimply looking things in the back of your salivary glands. Salivary gland stones can also cause bad breath in general. So if you notice that you're like pushing this area right here, and you're pushing this area right here, and you're noticing there's something a little hard, like in your cheek or underneath your tongue or something, go and tell your dentist. Turns out the dentist knows more than the physician does in this situation. So those cause bad breath for a number of reasons. Basically, it's a bunch of like calcified material that sits in there and just kind of makes things miserable for the entire environment. And if that doesn't change over time, we have issues. We have lots and lots of issues. So what did we go over? We went over tongue, we went over decayed teeth, we went over brushing nutrition, carbohydrates in particular, acidic food in general, lemons, and energy drinks. I'm on a war against Monster energy drinks. So if you're watching this and you're drinking Monster, I am not a fan of Monster. I think Monster should be dead. And it's destroying people's lives, and it might be destroying your life. And if you took 1 week off of Monster, you may very well be in a better situation. The reason that I say, in general, that we should be avoiding acidic things is, as it turns out, acidic things make our life much worse. Our oral health gets worse when we eat acidic things. Why is that? When you get to a pH of 5.4 and below, you start having some issues. What are the issues? Well, our teeth start breaking down. And when our teeth start breaking down, the outside layer of our teeth start breaking down, then those bacteria get inside, and guess what? We get a little bit of necrosis. So I say to you, avoid acidity in your life. Don't be an acidic person. You know what I mean? Try to be bass chill. Play that bass, okay? It's good, it's better for you. So the other thing I wanted to say about bad breath in general, listen, the mouth has a lot of consequences. If we don't take care of our mouth, we might not even have the job that we're looking for. We might not have the partner we're looking for. We might not have the smile we're looking for if we're self-conscious in some capacity, right? So breath is the first thing that someone sees. They feel it, you know? It's like in the ambiance. It's like the elephant in the room. It's like, good Lord, did you wash your butt? No. You know, it's like it makes a drastic difference in life. And so the reason that I'm making this video, this webinar for you, is to give you some tools, some tips on how to avoid that. So we covered essentially what it is that causes, what are the sources of this bad breath, but we haven't covered how to brush properly. So brushing in general, when it comes down to it, these little bacteria, they like to hang out in very specific locations. They like to hang out right where the gum meets the teeth. They hang out right over here. And in particular, they hang out down below, right behind the teeth. That area is missed by a lot of people. So if you have like periodontal disease and you have big chunks of calculus and stuff built up, you better expect some bad breath, my friend. And if you want to get that cleaned off, as it turns out, you need to go to a dentist. You need to get a deep cleaning. If you have care sores, come to me. I'll do your deep cleaning. And then we'll be happy friends together and your breath won't smell as bad. Now, the issue with calculus sometimes is that when it's built up so long, it can actually be the very thing that holds your teeth in place. So usually, and hopefully there's a little image of a bone and tooth here, usually what happens with teeth is that they're held in place by bone. And over time, when we have that like big chunk of calculus that holds it all in, then we have an issue, because really, sometimes when the bone goes away so much around the tooth and that kind of hard shit is holding your tooth in, and I remove that hard stuff, you get wiggly teeth. Not great at all. But there are solutions like partial dentures and dentures and implants if you have the money to spend. They're about $3,000 a pop if you get to a nice place that doesn't overcharge for them. So the other thing about a tongue scrapers, I wish I had one here, tongue scrapers are a great tool to basically remove that layer out of those bristly tongue areas that you have. If you have tonsil stones, you got to go to your dentist. If you have a necrotic tooth and you're worried about getting a tooth extraction, I'll tell you, when it comes down to getting teeth extracted, the worst part about it, quite literally, is the injection. And the reason is because we got to poke you to put you out of pain. So what do we do to mitigate that? We do topical anesthetic. Topical anesthetic allows us to basically numb your gum tissue before giving you any sort of shot. And that, my friend, is the easiest way to go about getting your teeth extracted, because unfortunately we have to do that. So I always tell people, I'm like, listen, and look, there's construction going on in the background. I don't know if you can see it. See back there? My friend Todd is making an event venue out of that awesome manor in the background. Anyway, so making sure that your extractions go well. First of all, you need a nice dentist around, which it turns out, I think people like me as a dentist, so you can come to me if you want to get teeth extracted. But you can also make sure that you take your antibiotics, make your prescriptions that your dentist tells you to take. The antibiotics basically make it so that the infection decreases, which decreases the amount of smell, but also makes it so that anesthetic actually works. So if you have a really infected tooth and a dentist is like, dude, I can't extract this tooth right now, and you're like, why? You could have just gotten antibiotics beforehand and been like, yo, I took amoxicillin or whatever I'm not allergic to, and now you can extract my teeth easily because the injection will actually work. The anesthetic will actually work. That happened to me a lot of times. So necrotic teeth in general, if you have a tooth that needs to be extracted, I'm telling you, it's way worse in your head. I'm telling you, it's way worse in your head. My mother, who's a dentist here, she extracted my upper wisdom teeth. And as it turns out, it was totally fine because it happened in like 10 minutes and I'm happier now. You want to be happier now? Take out those nasty teeth. Okay. So the brushing technique, yeah, you got to go through the tongue. You got to go all the way back on your molars, the biting surfaces of your molars. Those are very, very important to brush. If we don't brush those areas, we're going to get into situations where we get cavities on those biting surfaces, on those hills and valleys, basically, for the bacteria. And then as those get deeper, we get into cracked teeth and we get into root canals and all this other stuff. Don't do that. Please, for the sake of your health, for the sake of your children, don't do that. Just take care of your teeth, you know? At the end of the day, you got a healthy mouth, you got a healthy body. Okay, that Mountain Dew, that sugar, that candy, I know Halloween's rolling around. Whatever it is, you know, you don't gotta do it. You don't gotta do it. Anyway, so that's some things that are gonna help you maintain a better breath. The other thing is you can use xylitol gum. Xylitol, Xylotol, I believe, xylitol, is a substitute for sugar. So sugar actually creates a lot of acidity in your mouth. Gum that has xylitol is actually way better for you, dentist proven. You can also use just good toothpaste and good brushing habits. There's mouthwashes that are really, really useful for bad breath. I wish I had a list of them, but if you use a mouthwash, chances are it has some sort of mint flavor or something. Use that. Listerine strips, those used to be pretty good back in the day. So there's a lot of ways to avoid having bad breath, and there's a lot of useful situations for not having bad breath. So why not make the world a little less stinky and take care of your teeth and your health? Dr. Tarab Rai from Franklin.DentalCare and Dentures here. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I hope you have the ability to take your health back into your hands. If you want to come by to the practice, you have Medicaid, and you're looking for some person to save what teeth you have and make you think better about your health, come on down. I'll see you on the flip. Take care of yourself.